So yesterday we saw the markets crash because China released a new AI. It's called DeepSeek AI, and it seems to be apparently as good as Grok and ChatGPT. Now, the part that really made the market soft is twofold, right? First off, China said it only took them 2 months to make the AI. Second off, it only cost them $6 million. Now, compare that to ChatGPT, right? Now, the details on ChatGPT aren't fully known. They're not fully publicly released, right? But what we do know is it took at least 2 years to make ChatGPT, in all likelihood, because they had their GPT-3 that was announced in 2020. They announced ChatGPT in 2022, right? Or released, I should say. So it took around 2 years at least for them to go from announcing their previous AI to announcing ChatGPT. And it cost them billions and billions of dollars because they used Microsoft Azure, and Microsoft built or Azure, how you want to say it, and Microsoft built a whole training thing for them. Cost them billions of dollars, right? That's why it's a big deal what China's saying. They're saying, it took 2 months, $6 million. And the secondary part is that they are not even using the same GPUs, the graphics processing units, whatever they want to call them, right? That NVIDIA uses or sold to OpenAI, that Twitter uses, so on and so forth, to make their AIs run. Because these things are like $10,000 to $15,000, and they're using like $30,000 for ChatGPT. And the U.S. put a export restriction on them. They were not allowed to sell those to China. And yet somehow China has still come up with an AI with, for lack of a better term, shittier GPUs. So here's the thing, right? There is a big kind of trend, shall we say, in finance and most of the rest of the industries, I would assume, in that you don't trust China as far as you can throw them because they lie about damn near every damn thing, right? If they release numbers, if they release something where they're like, oh, we did this, we're doing that, this, that, and the other, you say, I take that with a grain of salt. I don't really believe you. But also, the only people saying anything is you. So, you have to take it with a grain of salt. You have to say, China is telling us this. And it might be true. It might be. I don't know. But overall, they lie a lot. Like a lot. So what I mean by that is, I think back to the Evergrande scenario back in 2021, right? Now, for those who don't know, Evergrande was the largest real estate company in China. They built like tons and tons of buildings. And we can go down a whole rabbit hole about how investing works in China, where basically they don't use the stock market. They invest in real estate. And generally, it's real estate you can't live in because it's made out of garbage. Like, legitimately, it's made out of like dry ramen noodles and stuff like that, where if someone lived in it, it would crumble, right? But they use that for investments somehow or another, right? And Evergrande, their largest real estate company, was building a lot of buildings that they'd already been paid for but hadn't been built, right? And one way or another, they ran out of cash and went bankrupt. And China was saying, no, it's fine. They're not going bankrupt, everything's okay. And then 6 months later, okay, so maybe it's not as okay as we said. They're still not bankrupt, but it's not great. And then, 6 months after that, so they're almost bankrupt. Yeah. And then China bailed them out. And then 6 months later, they went bankrupt. And Evergrande is now bankrupt. So that's the thing, right? China lies a lot. And they will use the force of government to make sure that their businesses look good to Americans, look good to whoever, right? Because their whole goal is to compete with us, but they don't have the same rules we do. And that's my problem with free trade with China as well, is that they're not using the same rules. They don't have to do the 10Ks and 10Qs and any sort of shareholder reports or whatever that the SEC requires public companies to do here. Instead, they just kind of, the CCP, who owns literally everything in China, kind of just tells us what they want to tell us. If it's true, if it's not, it's whatever. They just say whatever seems politically expedient to them. And you kind of just have to go with it. Now, obviously, you take it with a grain of salt. You assume they're probably lying. But also, I don't know, man, they might not be. That's the problem with China. That's why people don't like investing in China. That's why people don't like taking debt from China, so on and so forth, because you just never know what's going on, because they're not truthful. They bullshit you all the time. It's wild. Anyway, let's read from NBC News here. Tech stocks fall as China's DeepSeek sparks U.S. worries about the AI race. DeepSeek released an open source artificial intelligence model in December, saying it took only 2 months and less than $6 million to create it. Nvidia lost nearly $600 billion in the market value Monday as tech stocks plunged amid fears that Chinese artificial intelligence firm DeepSeek leapfrogged U.S. dominance in AI development. The Nasdaq Composite, which tracks the country's largest tech firms, plunged more than 3%. The Dow ended up nearly 300 points after falling earlier in the day, and the S&P 500 tumbled almost 1.5%. The sell-off was sparked by advances claimed by China's DeepSeek, whose outstanding qualities became evident this weekend. The open-source model was first released in December, when the company said it took only 2 months and less than $6 million to create. Those claims would be far less than the hundreds of billions of dollars that American tech giants such as OpenAI, Microsoft, Meta, and others have poured into developing their own models, fueling fears that China may be passing the U.S. in the scale and efficiency of their AI investments. DeepSeek's app is now the top free app in the App Store, pushing OpenAI's ChatGPT into second place. Among the biggest losers in the stock market slump, chipmaker NVIDIA, whose shares plummeted as much as 18%. NVIDIA has been among the better performers as of late, with shares soaring more than 200% over the course of the last 2 years, making it one of the largest companies in the world. NVIDIA's losses represent the biggest market value drop in U.S. stock history, according to Bloomberg. NVIDIA said in a statement that DeepSeek is an excellent AI advancement and an example of what is possible, leveraging widely available models and compute that is fully expert control compliant. Other semiconductor companies also saw major losses. Micron Technology and ARM Holdings fell 10%, while ASML slid 6%. Mega-cap tech firms also felt the pain, with Microsoft falling 2% and Google parent Alphabet falling 4%. Meta Platforms, which is developing its own open-source AI model, fell earlier in the day, but ended higher by 1.9%. Worries about DeepSeek's alleged advances come despite export controls on sales of advanced semiconductors to China. Speaking at the World Economic Forum last week, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella said DeepSeek's advances appear to be super impressive and super compute efficient. We should take the developments out of China very, very seriously, Nadella added. Rep. John Molinar from Michigan, chairman of the Select Committee on China, said the U.S. cannot allow CCP models such as DeepSeek to risk our national security and leverage our technology to advance their AI ambitions. We must work to swiftly place stronger export controls on technologies critical to DeepSeek's AI infrastructure. At the end of 2024, Microsoft said it planned $35 billion in investments to build trusted and secure AI and cloud data center infrastructure. Constellation Energy, which inked a deal with Microsoft to restart the 3 Mile Island nuclear plant to power AI servers, sank 20%. Shares of other power companies, blah, blah, blah. A lot of things fell along with, the semiconductor stocks. And, that's something that you can expect because, things move in sympathy with each other, right? If a company has anything to do with something big, it'll move in sympathy and so on and so forth, whatever. Here's the thing, right? There's a saying in finance, and there's a saying in probably everywhere. Everyone knows this saying, to be honest, which is, if something sounds a little bit too good to be true, it probably is. And what I mean by that is, ChatGPT took 2 years to develop and hundreds of billions of dollars, right? DeepSeek took 2 months and $6 million. That's something I would say sounds too good to be true. Now, I'm not debating necessarily that it would take less time because we know how to do it now. We know how to train things, right? And if you do it very, very efficiently and you do it with slave labor China has and all that stuff, you can probably get it done pretty quickly. I feel like 2 months is a stretch. Probably 6 months is better or more realistic, maybe a year. But the part that really sounds like bullshit to me is the $6 million. Unless they stole the models from OpenAI or Twitter or whoever, X, whatever, whoever is developing these, Meta or whatever, unless they stole those, which they might have. Unless they stole those, I don't see how it could be only $6 million. Because it might be that they're using like NVIDIA, GeForce or something like that, something like, dinky and older or just less powerful than what ChatGPT or, Meta or X use for their processing, but I don't believe that. That's the thing is these GPUs only have so much processing power, and like ChatGPT, from looking more into it, has so much processing power going on that it takes an entire normal bottle of water, 17 ounces of water, to cool the servers every time a string of questions is asked from ChatGPT. So like, I just don't believe that China could do this. It makes no sense. Like, I'm betting DeepSeek is a real thing. I'm betting it's totally real, right? No, it might not be, but it might be, right? But I'm also betting that China is lying about how they build it. It could also be that they it could also be that they hire some Chinese people just to answer your questions for you as best they can. Because that has definitely been a thing we've seen in the past, and I've seen a lot of memes about things like that where they just use Indians or whatever, an Indian call center or Indian data center to answer questions or do whatever, right? And I wouldn't be shocked if China was doing that either. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say that DeepSeek is real. I'm also going to go ahead and say that China is lying about how long it took and how much money it cost, because there's no way in hell that it only cost $6 million, and I find it very hard to believe that it only took 2 months. Now here's the thing, right? Wall Street does a lot of stuff in fear, because Wall Street, for as logical as they like to pretend they are, they're emotional as hell, right? They got scared that China is catching up to us that fast. I don't believe it. Sounds like horseshit to me, but whatever, right? And so they sold off. Sooner or later, something's going to come out about this DeepSeek. People are going to be like, either it's not good, or it costs a lot more than China said it did, and so on and so forth, right? Because, like I said, China lies about everything, and it just feels like this is a lie. It just feels like horseshit, man. The other thing I'll talk about is the fact that, a lot of the people in government, both sides, mind you, Democrats and Republicans, are saying, we need to catch up to China. If they're surpassing us on this, which, like I said, I don't know if they are, but if they're surpassing us on this, we need to catch up. We need to make sure that we stay dominant in this field, because this is the way forward, man. AI is the future, and this is just going to be the way forward. If we don't stay dominant, we'll lose our market share, we'll lose our place in the world, and it'll be a problem. So, hopefully this will be a good thing overall and lead to a lot of development in the AI space and a lot of development going forward. But we shall see. Either way, guys, that's what I've got to say about that. Make sure to smash the like button and subscribe. If you've got anything you want to say about this, throw it in the comments down below. We'll chat. Either way, guys, next segment's coming up later today, and I'll see you guys then.